Welcome back. Having fewer, better quality clothes could bring you style and some happiness. The Bureau of Labor Statistics estimates that households spend on average $1,700 a year on apparel, footwear, and related products and services. That's 3.5% of their average annual expenditures. A lot of those items pile up and overflow in closets. If people were more careful in their purchases, buying higher quality clothes, for example, and if they purge their closets of the things they don't like, well, folks would find that instead of wearing only 20% of their clothing, that percentage would significantly improve. MoneyWise expert Michael DeGroot rounded up the best advice from experts on how to clear out the closet clutter. You can find his article online at national.deseretnews.com. We've heard a lot of warnings about skin cancer, but with so many sunscreen products out there, it's hard to figure out which ones offer the best protection. Lori Pritchard boils it down for us.
I don't know what it is about my skin. The sun just really doesn't like me.
Growing up playing soccer, Hillary Fowler is used to time in the sun and sunburns.
After every game, I would just have blisters everywhere, just covered from head to toe.
And just a few weeks ago, she had one of her worst. She wore sunscreen, but turns out it was expired.
I couldn't move for like days because it was so painful, and then I peeled really, really bad for about 2 weeks after that.
She's now determined to be more careful, especially because of her grandmother's recent experience. She had a chunk of her ear removed after she was diagnosed with melanoma.
It terrifies me, like seeing what could actually happen.
So what do you need to know about sunscreen to avoid getting burned, or worse, skin cancer? First, know the sun.
UVA rays are the ones more responsible for aging and a little bit for the skin cancers, but the UVBs are the ones more responsible for burning and for skin cancer.
Last year, the FDA updated its rules for sunscreen labels, making it easier for consumers to make smarter choices. But the key here is the phrase broad spectrum.
Broad spectrum means it has both UVA and UVB protection. But the thing with sunscreen is you want to
Next, what about that number on the bottle? And how does SPF actually work?
It's an indication of how long till you'll get sunburn. For example, if you were to get sunburned or start to get pink in about 20 minutes and you used an SPF of 15, that would make it so you wouldn't sunburn 15 times longer or 5 hours.
He's already getting burned.
But don't count on 5 hours of protection. Most sunscreen doesn't last more than 2 hours, and companies can't make that claim unless it's been tested and proven.
Pre-apply and reapply, two things to remember.
And make sure you use the right amount.
It's about 0.2 ounces there. But that'll cover, face and neck. You want to make sure you get it on liberally.
And no one is invincible here. Our very own political specialist, Richard Pyatt, had a scare.
I was a healthy young man at the time and was just living my life, and then all of a sudden news of this melanoma kind of hit me like a truck. So the scar that I have is probably this long in my back for a melanoma the size of a dime. I love being outside and I love being in the sun, and I don't want to give up any of my activities, but I think there's a way to be smart about it.
You get your skin, and you've got your skin for life. So if you want to keep it looking good, you've got to invest in your skin. And part of investing in your skin is sunscreen.
There's a lot on right there. Lori Pritchard reporting of the 7 most common cancers in the country. Melanoma is the only one on the rise. Finally this week, a story to inspire. A former child soldier from Sudan is encouraging people to push for peaceful resolutions abroad. Nkoy Yamba spoke to him about his mission.
I believe I've survived for a reason to tell my story, to touch lives.
Emmanuel Jal calls himself an accidental musician.
Music, not just only a therapy or a painkiller of mine, so now I use it to communicate a bigger picture out and also to mobilize people.
Jal says he's on the road just about every day of the year, sharing his message.
The hardship, seeing 7 years old burying their own dead in the battlefield, getting used to people dying, starvation.
Jal was 7 years old when civil war broke out in Sudan in the early 80s. He lost most of his family in the war and joined other children to walk across the desert for months to reach refugee camps in Ethiopia. Along the way, many of them, including Jal, were forced to join militia forces. Jal spent 4 years as a child soldier trained to do horrendous things.
In a situation where, for me to survive, I was tempted to eat my friend at one time.
Jal says he's lucky because a British aid worker smuggled him out of that life.
One of my colleagues that I know has become a general now in the army. Some of them now have made their way up to the top because they didn't get a way out.
And a way out of war and political strife is Jal's message, much of it directed at young kids.
To say, wow, he survived and he did something and he's doing something to make the world a better place, I can do that too.
Our world is dark and each one of us can be the light. And if every person that does something small in each area, then we'll create a beam of light that will shine over the darkness.
In Koyamba, reporting Jal has performed with artists such as Alicia Keys and Peter Gabriel. He's holding a peaceful rally for thousands of lives lost in the South Sudan in Washington, D.C. on August 6th. And that's our report this week. I'm Dave McCann. Thanks for watching the Deseret News National Edition. We'll see you next Sunday.